defense calls Sube Lawrence.
Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So help me God, yes I do.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Ms. Lawrence, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself to the jury.
Okay, my name is Sube Lawrence, Subelawrence.
And we just met your lovely mother, but I want to make sure she spoke loud enough. I want to make sure you speak loud enough so that last jurors back there can hear you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Lawrence, what kind of work do you do?
I'm in recruitment.
Okay, and how long have you been in, like a headhunter kind of recruitment?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in that
15
kind of-
years.
Okay. Here in Brunswick?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about your job and being here at this trial?
I do.
Okay. Well, what are you concerned about?
I obviously just don't want any negative impact in my career and personal life.
Okay. But you're willing to testify today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you tell us where you live?
I live at 221 Satilla Drive,
And where is that in relation to Annabelle Beasley?
right next door.
Okay. And where is that in relation to Larry English's house?
So he's kind of catty-cornered. If you're facing away from my house, he is across the street and one over.
Okay. Do you also know Brooke and Diego Perez?
Yes.
And how do you know the Perez's?
My middle and her oldest went to preschool together, and then just since moving to the neighborhood have become friends.
When did you move into Satilla Shores?
August 2015.
Okay. Was there a time before you moved in 2015 that where you lived in Satilla Shores?
Yes, sir. I moved there in 9th grade with my family, my mom, dad, and sister, into the house my mom lives in 1994.
Okay. Then at some point you moved out?
I did. I got married and moved out and got divorced and came back.
Okay. Okay. And so how would you describe your relationship with the Perez's?
Oh, very close. They are definitely good neighbors, good friends, like other parents to my boys. One time we actually had, the boys were playing baseball in the front yard, and a ball went through the dining room window, and Diego just happened to hear glass crashing and runs over, and he had it repaired before he went to bed that night. And then Brooke's over with her vacuum cleaning up all the glass. So they look out for us.
So they're neighbors that help you
Yes.
with all the
The
things that
circus
three
of-
boys, right?
Yes, sir.
I want to go back to 2019. How old were your three boys at that point?
They were 8, 11, and 13-ish.
Okay. Did they have any kind of relationship with Mr. English or his children?
Yes, Hoyt, Mr. Larry's son, and my middle are about the same age, and so they would play together, and Mr. Larry actually gave them some wood for a ramp, for a bicycle ramp.
Okay. Have you ever seen Mr. English's surveillance video of two boys on his property
I have.
on bikes?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who those boys are?
Those are my children.
Oh, boy. And what were they doing in that video, to your understanding?
They were going to get the plywood for the ramp Mr. Larry made them.
Okay. So they had permission, essentially, to get the wood?
Yes.
Okay. Did they ever go into Mr. English's house at night, to your knowledge?
No, sir.
I want to take you back to October 2019.
Okay.
Okay. Was there a time when your camera on your own home security system alerted you?
Yes, sir. It was late October, and it was late in the evening. So I want to say the boys and I were at a football game or the fair or something on a Friday night, maybe that was, that had us out late, 10 o'clock-ish, I guess. And so I got an alert on my Blink cameras that, there was motion detected. So I look at it and I see two men with flashlights looking at the front of the house. And so, of course, I call Brooke and just say, there are guys at my house with flashlights. Can you please send Diego over to see what's going on?
Okay, and why would you ask Brooke to send her husband into a difficult situation?
Because Diego is...
There's no object speculation.
I asked her why. Yeah.
I feel very safe with Diego. I know that he would look out for me and my boys, at all cost.
Okay. And did you eventually come to understand who was on the camera that alerted you? Did you ever find out?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Diego came over and figured it out and relayed it through Brooke.
Okay. Did you ever, as a result of that incident, talk to the police?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you ever post anything on the neighborhood Facebook page?
In general, yes. About that specifically, I don't recall.
Okay. When you say in general, what kinds of things were you posting on the neighborhood Facebook page?
Who do you use for a landscaper? The ice cream truck is in the neighborhood. Just kind of general, neighborly, keep you updated sort of things.
Okay. Did you ever post anything about crime in the neighborhood?
I didn't initiate a post. I may have commented on a post about crime in the neighborhood.
Okay. Any of those posts related to Larry English's house?
I don't recall specifically.
Okay. Were you kept informed of the intruder in Larry English's house over the course of the late fall 2019 and early 2020?
Yes, sir. So if Brooke would find out that there was a suspicious person lurking, she would usually text or call me and say, tell the boys to get inside and lock the doors. The guy's back at Larry's.
And what would you do when she would tell you that?
Well, kind of at this point, the boys were staying inside a lot anyway, so, I would still tell the boys, don't go outside, stay inside, lock the doors.
Were your boys, would you describe them as physically active young kids?
Very,
And so were they, before all these break-ins, playing outside?
always.
Okay, building ramps for skateboards
Yes, sir.
and riding their bikes.
Yes, sir.
Were they outside at night?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when that you stopped them from playing outside at night?
I didn't have to stop them, as, reports of car break-ins and suspicious persons, lurking around. They kind of did that themselves. They didn't want to even come help get the groceries out of the car at night because they were just a little afraid.
Okay. As a result of your awareness of break-ins in Larry English's house, did you take any security measures to protect yourself and your kids?
Before I knew about the break-ins at Mr. Larry's, I had read on our Facebook page about a car being broken into. And so after that, I got the Blink camera system.
Okay. And were you kept aware about crime in the neighborhood through your neighborhood Facebook page?
Yes, sir.
Did you find it to be helpful?
Very helpful.
Okay. Did you, were you ever one of the administrators of the Facebook page?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, what does that mean to be an administrator?
So just to have access to who's joining the page, what kind of things are being posted in the page. We wanted to make sure that they were actually people that lived in our neighborhood or, you know, had a legitimate reason to be in the group.
Okay. Did you notice over the course of when you moved back in 2015, anything about crime in the neighborhood, whether it was rising or falling, or?
Growing up there'd never been crime, and you know, I'm ashamed to say I didn't always do a great job of double checking that my car was locked, but when I started to see frequent posts about cars being broken into, and not only in our neighborhood page, but the Exit 29 Facebook group, people would post from the neighborhood next door. So of course I was just a little more diligent about making sure that you know, the car was locked and the doors were locked and windows that I hadn't checked and that sort of thing.
Did Brooke Perez or any other neighbor, or the Facebook page for that matter, ever inform you about how many times this black male was coming onto Larry English's property at night?
Not so much the Facebook group. It was probably more just text from Brooke saying, you know, get the boys inside.
Okay. And when she would text you that, would you make sure the boys were inside?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay. How did that make you feel, the fact that there was someone coming over?
Violated. Upset that my kids weren't getting to grow up in the safe neighborhood I grew up in. Previously, we lived on some land, and we had a dirt driveway, and all they wanted was a neighborhood with roads so that they could ride their bikes. And so to have to say, come inside, stay inside, or Mom, I don't want to go outside, it was just disappointing.
Even though it wasn't violent crime, it still affected you and your boys?
Well, crimes of opportunity may not start as violent crimes. It's just someone's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I didn't want my boys to be home alone and someone think because there's not a car there, there's no one home, and then they're in that situation without me.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Hey, I'm well, thank you.
My name is Paul Camarillo, and I'm one of the prosecutors here.
Yes, sir.
We've never spoke before, right?
No, sir.
Okay. I may have left you a voicemail or two, but we've never actually connected, right?
No, and I'm sorry if I missed that.
Oh, it's okay.
Definitely would have called you back.
No, it's okay. Would you?
Yes. I'm very afraid.
All right. I'm not that scary.
Okay.
You and Mr. Rubin were talking about break-ins at Mr. English's house.
Hmm?
Nobody there actually ever broke into anything. Is that correct? That you know of? It wasn't a secured house. Somebody walked through the door.
I don't know if there were even doors.
Right, there weren't, but
So Mr. Camarillo
That's-
testifying.
just as your sons went in that garage, the open garage,
Yes, sir.
you're not aware of any sort of doors or windows or anything else that was on that property?
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
At the time that we're speaking of.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, sir.
Currently, there might be.
I think so.
Okay. All right, so you're friends with the Perezes,
Mm-hmm.
close friends, right? Y'all have had dinner together?
Mm-hmm.
Exchanged texts and calls and that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all went on a boat ride with the Perezes and Mr. McMichael over here?
Mr. Greg and Travis. Or Mr. Greg and Miss Lee.
Yeah, right, okay. And that was shortly, that was after the homicide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Y'all talk about friends and family, that sort of thing?
On the boat ride?
No, I'm just in general.
The Perezes and I?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and then after the shooting, you and Brooke walked over there or kind of meandered over there to see what was going on, right?
The day of.
The day of?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you two were standing there together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know Miss Lee McMichael?
I do.
How do you know her?
Lee and I work for the same place, so in passing, just colleagues.
Same hospital?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Y'all see each other in passing, talk about friends and family, live in the same neighborhood?
We don't usually chit chat, but we're friendly.
Okay. Friendly enough that y'all wanted a boat ride together?
Yes.
After
So,
the incident?
right. Brooke and Diego invited me, and I'm not going to turn down a boat ride.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did you know Mr. Arbery
I did not.
before this happened? Did you ever hear about him?
Not by name.
You never heard that name before, right?
Correct.
None of your friends or family knew him?
No, sir.
The incident at your house where you said that you saw two guys with a flashlight,
Mhm.
those are police officers, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You never saw any trespassers on your camera that night?
Correct.
You just saw the aftermath of people looking for somebody?
Right.
And in fact, you've never seen a trespasser on your camera ever?
Correct.
Did you ever view surveillance videos from anybody else's house, personally?
Being so far after the fact, I don't know if the videos I saw were, just from the internet or anyone's phone. I mean, if I did, it would have been from Brooke's phone, but I don't know.
Your mom had her car broken into, right?
Yes, sir.
And when I
Well,
say broke-
rummaged through, it was unlocked.
It was unlocked. We tend to use that term pretty loosely, right?
Yes, sir.
Door was unlocked, car went through. Still unnerving.
Very.
Nobody wants that to happen.
Right.
Didn't call 911.
No, I did not report it, and my mom was out of the country and asked why I didn't, and I'd seen on the Facebook page that someone's car was also, things were stolen, and when she did report it, I mean, the police were maybe a little flippant about it, just a car break-in, make sure you lock your doors, so I thought I'm not gonna call the police for her car being rummaged through.
That seemed to be a trend in the neighborhood. That seemed to be a trend, people leaving their cars unlocked and things taken out.
I don't know if they were all unlocked or not. But you should still be able to leave your car unlocked and know your things are safe.
100%. 100%. And it's not your fault. I mean, it's not anybody's fault.
Right.
Right? Since you've lived in Satilla Shores, you haven't personally witnessed any car break-ins, correct?
No.
You haven't witnessed personally any property crime?
Crime other than,
Property crime?
no.
Okay. You've never witnessed or heard about any physical assaults?
No.
Really, the only thing that was going on was these car break-ins.
Car break-ins and several reports of a person that no one knew kind of lurking around. My boys called one night when I was at a restaurant, and it was like 8:30, and they said,
Judge, I would object to.
"Oh, sorry."
Yeah, a non-responsive answer. Yeah, asked to strike that.
I would ask that she be allowed to complete her answer.
I asked about assaults, and then it went into something else.
Oh, really good sustained. All right. Yes. Move on. Can't remember where the objection came from.
I think she was mentioning suspicious person.
Yeah, she
No,
mentioned,
it would be non-responsive.
it was non-responsive.
All right, that's taken away.
As the administrator of the Facebook page, you were able to see all the different types of theories about who might be doing this, right?
I had access to, didn't necessarily engage or read it actively.
Did you get alerts on
Every
your
day.
phone as the administrator from being a part of Satilla Shore?
I turned off my notifications from Facebook in general, just because they get overwhelming at times.
Fair enough. Had you heard that people thought it might be teenagers?
I don't recall.
Okay. I want to talk to you, Ms. Lawrence, about a time when you had a conversation with Travis McMichael after the shooting.
Mhm.
Do you remember speaking with him in his driveway at some point after the shooting about this case?
No, sir. I remember he was coming home one night, and I was out in the road, and he just stopped and we talked.
Okay. And y'all talked about the case and what happened,
Right. Yes, sir.
right? And he told you there was a video out there
Yes, sir.
and that him and his dad were planning on, quote unquote, leaking it.
Right.
And you agreed to help him do that?
Probably not at that time. And
So-
I didn't agree to leak it.
At some point, you and Travis had a conversation about,
That I would share it once it got
Share it,
out.
correct.
Right.
and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it had to do with you helping get his version of what happened out.
Right. The neighborhood's version of past events, and yes, kind of
Sure.
all the things that led to this.
Because at this point, everybody had seen that video, right? Or a lot of the neighbors. You've seen it. You
I
saw
had seen it, but I don't know about everything.
They showed it to you. They showed it to you
Correct.
on their phone or wherever they had it.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, nobody knew that they actually engaged in a full-on chase through the neighborhood. Correct?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know what everyone knew.
No, what I'm asking, what they told you. Did they ever tell you that they chased Mr. Arbery or followed him in a car or whatever you want to characterize it? They never told you that, correct?
I don't
Object to
recall
the
that.
question. They? Who are we talking about?
Greg and Travis.
So it's clarified.
Greg and Travis. They never told you they engaged in that chase, right?
Correct.
And you never heard from anybody else about that.
I'm sorry, objective on the question about what?
Be more specific.
You never engaged with any sort of conversation with anybody else about a chase that occurred, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a chase.
At some point after the homicide, and I don't know if it's before or after this conversation, Travis asked you to admit him into the Satilla Facebook page under the name Travis Hafner. And it was a fake Facebook page, correct?
Correct, because his actual Facebook page had been hacked.
But he didn't take the time to set up a new one under his real name.
I don't know that Facebook makes it that easy, but
Okay.
also, I don't know what he did.
Because he wanted to know what people were talking about this.
I'm going to object to Mr. Camarillo asking what Travis McMichael believed. of
No, this
this.
was a conversation they had. I'm asking about the conversation they had.
So I would ask that it be clarified where the information's come from Foundation.
You and him talked about the purpose of him creating this Facebook page, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that purpose was from him to be able to monitor what was going on throughout the neighborhood under this fake name.
Monitor what was going on? I don't,
Look at what people were saying.
right.
At some point, the neighbors were, as you said, they post about maybe water that got shut off, complaints with things going on in the neighborhood, crime of some sort, right? That's kind of the general things that were being posted on the Facebook
Mhm.
page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And at some point, there were strings of messages or posts about car break-ins that were happening. You remember all that?
Fair enough. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you engaged in some of those conversations, and at some point on January 30th, you posted about leaving your window down, and you were lucky nobody took your purse and wallet in the front seat.
Right.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Bub and Renee Herndon posted about their gun being stolen, right?
I don't recall.
Don't recall. And at the very end of that, Travis posted, "They're playing with fire on this side of the neighborhood." Remember seeing that? He posted that?
I don't.
One minute, okay? Ma'am, that's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Lawrence, Mr. Camarillo asked you about the video that we've seen in this case regarding the shooting of Mr. Arbery. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you were willing to share it, right? Share it meaning the video.
Right.
How are you going to share it?
Texts or social media.
Post it somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Send it to friends or family? And why? Tell us why you were willing to share that video.
To me, I felt it matched the story that I knew to be true of this person lunging for the gun, and so this is the story I heard and have no reason not to believe. And so seeing the video kind of confirmed, okay, this matches the story and the video match. So you're lucky you have this on video.
Okay. And so you were willing to put it out because you believed it to be the truth.
Yes, sir.
And about what time of year was this? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't.
Was it after the media had gotten a hold of this story and was kind of blowing things up?
It was after the video was released and then didn't get a positive response.
Okay. All right. Did you ever share the video?
No.
Okay. But you were willing to?
Yes.
Okay. The Travis Hafner, I think, was that the name Mr. McMichael wanted to use?
I don't recall, but
Okay. Tell us about that. What had happened prior to him approaching you as you understood it? Why he needed a new moniker on Facebook?
someone had hacked into his account, and so I guess, I don't know if they automatically shut it down or he had to shut it down, but it was, just a way to get on Facebook.
Okay. And was this, again, after the national media had started reporting about the shooting of Mr. Arbery? Do you recall?
I believe it was after.
Okay. And as the administrator, what did you have to do to allow Mr. McMichael to
I don't know that I actually did. I'm sure there's a record. I'm not saying I didn't, but it's just an easy approve or decline.
Okay. And tell the jury why you were willing to approve Mr. McMichael, Travis, being on the Facebook page under a different name.
I believed the account of the events as they transpired, as they were told to me by the family, and didn't see a reason he shouldn't have access to what people were thinking.
So it was to monitor what other people were saying about him? Is that as you understood it?
Or maybe not necessarily of him, but of the event in general.
Okay. Did you, as the administrator of the neighborhood Facebook page, see anything wrong with that?
No?
Was the name Travis Hafner, or whatever name was used by Travis or anybody else to put out information about the case, to your knowledge?
I don't think he actually posted anything,
Okay.
but I don't
You don't recall? Okay. Just give me 1 second. Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. Appreciate it. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Is she released?
Yes. We would ask.
She understates me.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe you can step down. You are released.
Thank you.